A Texas family inherits a house full of history worth millions.
Bam!
Bob Davis was a world-class collector.
He had a love affair with these items.
That's smart.
And speaking of love affairs,
What's this gun?
This is a sawed-off shotgun that was
Thought so.
carried by the Barrow Gang.
The Barrows, like Bonnie and Clyde Barrows?
Like Bonnie and Clyde.
their violent exploits spawn a legend.
Those images of these young outlaws shooting up the highways of America somehow touches people.
That may yield a fortune.
The place is packed. People on the telephones are bidding. There's intense interest in the Bonnie and Clyde story.
It was a mind blower to watch.
I'm Jamie Colby, and I'm headed into Waco, Texas, where I'll meet a man who inherited a massive collection of artifacts and documents and weapons that he says tell the story of the Lone Star State from the days of the Alamo all the way to the legendary and bloody crime sprees of the 1920s and 30s.
I'm Earl Davis. My father, Robert E. Davis, died in March 2003 and left us a vast and eclectic collection. And we were at odds and dilemma what to do with these items.
I meet Earl Davis at his mother's house, where he keeps his strange inheritance.
Hi, Earl.
How you doing? Are you Jamie?
I'm Jamie.
It's
Great
good
to meet you.
Good to meet you. Glad you're here.
Earl tells me his father built a mom-and-pop printing business into a multi-million-dollar operation, successful enough to bankroll his real passion, Texana artifacts.
Well, there's a lot of stuff in here.
This is a very nice autographed letter signed by Sam Houston in 1840, and you can see how nice his signature was.
In the process, the family's home becomes a shrine to Texas history. The Alamo, the Battle of Zacatecas. There's even stuff going back to the Spanish conquistadors.
This is a conquistador's helmet, all metal. I don't know how they wore it without a liner, but you can feel it's quite heavy.
Oh, my goodness.
Can you imagine carting that on your head all day long?
Yeah, if you're having a bad hair day, it takes care of it.
It will take care of your bad head day. No doubt. There's more stuff. Come here, let me show you.
More than this?
More than this. We got several rooms.
There are weapons everywhere.
This is what I was talking about.
Whoa, you promised guns. You got a lot of guns.
Guns galore.
What's this gun?
This is a sawed-off shotgun that was carried by the Barrow Gang.
The Barrows, like Bonnie and Clyde Barrows?
Like Bonnie and Clyde. You want to hold a piece of history?
Whoa, it's heavy. Unbelievable.
Earl explains that the Barrow Gang accidentally left this weapon on the side of the road while changing a tire on their getaway car.
Dad loved the whole Bonnie and Clyde story, didn't he?
Loved the story. As we all do. It still holds up to today.
And you have to wonder why. They killed a lot of people.
Fascination with the Americana and the gangsters.
1930, Bonnie Parker, an unemployed waitress, meets Clyde Barrow in West Dallas. She's 19. Clyde's a year older and on the run from burglary charges.
They are these mythical characters who did nothing but cause trouble and pain in their lifetime. It's a young boy and a young girl who went against the system. And by all accounts, it was love at first sight. The only thing that separated them was police arrested him and hauled him off to jail.
Bonnie sneaks a revolver into the jail and Clyde makes a run for it. But he's recaptured, jailed, and beaten by the guards. He's released in 1932, a hardened criminal. He and Bonnie go on a rampage, robbing banks and killing a dozen people. But all along, Clyde is consumed by one idea: revenge against the guards who beat him at Easton Prison.
Let's raid this place. Let's turn everybody loose, and I'd like to shoot every damn one of these guards.
Clyde leads the raid in January 1934.
5 convicts are released from prison, and 1 prison guard is killed.
State Prison Chief Lee Simmons is humiliated. He calls on a retired Texas Ranger named Frank Hamer.
He said, I told Frank Hamer, put Clyde and Bonnie on the spot and then shoot everyone in sight. Those are his own words.
Hamer develops an informant who reveals the duo's location. The posse sets up an ambush. Clyde appears over a hill, Bonnie at his side. The lawmen open up with a deafening fusillade. Bonnie and Clyde are dead before they can return a single shot. In the death car, posse members uncover an arsenal.
The inevitable end. Here is Bonnie Parker and Clyde Barrow, who died as they lived, by the gun.
To augment their meager pay, the officers take the weapons and other personal items.
Frank Hamer wound up with all of the weaponry that was recovered in that car.
It's no surprise to Earl that an avid collector like his father would covet these macabre trophies.
Bonnie and Clyde, you can add it to a 3-year-old kid and they know who Bonnie and Clyde is.
Through sales, auctions, and trades, Robert adds that shotgun from the Barrow Gang to his house full of Texana artifacts, as well as Clyde's pocket watch and Bonnie's makeup case. But it's not enough. Robert eyes 2 more objects to cap off his gangster collection.
A gun, 45, that was in Clyde's waistband. Another thing was a 38 taped to Bonnie's leg. Frank Hamer wrote a note that Bonnie was squatting on this gun. The smaller guns.
It takes patience, luck, and some quick thinking, but those 2 weapons will end up in Earl's strange inheritance.
So, wow, he obviously got what he wanted.
Yes, he always got what he wanted.
But this time, he almost blows it. Up next, Mrs. Davis's white knuckle moment.
Let's take it up a notch.
What would she pay?
And now our strange inheritance quiz question. What was Clyde Barrow first arrested for? Stealing a case of beer? Failing to return a rental car? Or stabbing a high school classmate? The answer in a moment. So what was the charge in Clyde Barrow's first arrest? It's B. Barrow was a few days late in returning a rental car.
You know, Clyde was quite a dapper guy, really, when you look at it.
No way.
Yes.
This is Clyde.
That's Clyde.
This photo of Clyde Barrow is part of the huge cache of Texas memorabilia that Earl Davis's father, Robert, amassed over several decades. Through shrewd purchases and trades, he acquires the Barrow Gang's shotgun, Clyde's watch, and Bonnie Parker's makeup case. Even 80 years after they died in a hail of gunfire, almost anything associated with these notorious criminals is valuable. By far the most valuable are their guns, snatched from the death car by lead bounty hunter Frank Hamer.
They were able to take these things as souvenirs.
I track one of those weapons here to the Texas Prison Museum in Huntsville.
Okay, Jamie, let me show you a little artifact.
Jim Willett, who runs the museum, explains that Frank Hamer gave Bonnie's pistol to Texas Prison Chief Lee Simmons, who had ordered the ambush.
This is the pistol that Bonnie Parker had in her lap when they killed Bonnie and Clyde.
Really? How did you get it?
The family of Lee Simmons loaned all this stuff to us.
Love to see it.
Sure. Let me get that for you. This gun was in her lap with a magazine over it. Probably heavier than you think it is.
So from Bonnie's lap to Jamie's hands. It is heavy and it's beautiful. Look at that handle.
It's been decades since her death, but still, it gives me a shiver to be holding one of the Bonnie Parker weapons.
You better put it back because I would like to take it home.
I bet you would.
I really would.
Yeah.
Add it to the collection.
I'm starting to see why collectors would want to own pieces of Texas history like this.
You look back at these people who were ruthless, but it's a piece of Americana. You know, my dad always said, even though history may be bad, history's history.
In 1986, Earl's father, Robert, learns that Frank Hamer's family is about to auction off 2 spectacular pieces of Bonnie and Clyde memorabilia, the ill-fated duo's most personal weapons, a .45 that was in Clyde's waistband, and a .38 that Bonnie had taped to her thigh. He sets his sights on adding them to his treasure trove.
When the opportunity came up of history, holding a gun that he knew Clyde probably used and had on his person, just his top joy.
Robert and his wife Mary Ann drive to Austin for the sale. Other Texas history buffs, Robert's friends and competitors, fill the hall.
It's kind of funny. My dad apparently got up to converse with somebody, go get a drink, and the guns came up for auction. He wasn't in the crowd.
Robert's golden opportunity is slipping away. Mary Ann looks around, no sign of her husband. The hammer's about to go down, so she takes matters into her own hands.
My mom, knowing my dad wanted them, at whatever price, she was the one that actually purchased the 2 guns.
So she did the bidding because he was nowhere to be found?
Absolutely, absolutely. And he was very happy that she did that.
What'd she pay?
It was under $40,000 for the 2 guns.
Earl's dad keeps on collecting Texas history, but in 2003, beset by health problems and depression, he takes his own life at the age of 69.
He decided that was it, and like most of his control of life, he controlled his death, if you want to look at it that way. But it was a traumatic event for the family.
Earl takes over his father's role as head of the family's printing business, and it falls on him to decide what to do with his dad's enormous collection. Turns out to be worth a Texas-sized fortune. One estimate, $4 million.
Dad leave a will?
He did, and we have a family trust, so everything basically went into a trust.
Did he give you any specific instructions on what to do?
The instruction was, do not dismantle my collection. My mom didn't have the passion that my dad did. I love it, but didn't have the passion he did.
So Earl decides it's time to sell off at least some of his dad's stuff. He figures he'll start with a few Alamo documents. He begins working with New Hampshire auction company exec Bobby Livingston, who had dealt with Earl's father but had never seen his entire collection. When Livingston comes to Texas and steps into the Davis home for the first time, his jaw drops.
I was there to pick up these Alamo documents, and we know how much Bob Davis loved these things. We really didn't understand how much Bob Davis collected.
Or the variety of what he collected.
I looked, and he goes, well, there's Bonnie Parker's gun. And I'm like, what? And my eyes lit up.
That's next on Strange Inheritance.
Here's another quiz question for you. Though Clyde Barrow never served in the military, he did tattoo his arm with the insignia of which branch? The Navy, the Army, or the Marines? The answer when we return. So which military insignia did Clyde Barrow tattoo on his arm? The answer is A, the Navy. He tried to enlist, but the Navy found him medically unfit.
Any more guns? You have a lot of drawers. All ammunition?
After his father's death in 2003, Earl Davis ponders what to do with his strange inheritance, a stockpile of Texas memorabilia that includes everything from Alamo artifacts to guns owned by Bonnie and Clyde. What should he sell first? Earl settles on some letters from the legendary William B. Travis, commander of the Alamo Garrison. But the moment auction company exec Bobby Livingston steps into the Davis home, he locks on to something else.
This was Bonnie Parker's pistol coming right from Frank Hamer, the bounty hunter that hunted down Bonnie and Clyde. I knew this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for our auction house. We had to get this collection.
Though Bonnie and Clyde last rampaged through the dusty roads and small towns of the South and Midwest 80 years ago, Livingston knows their story still strikes a chord.
Those images of these young outlaws shooting up the highways of America somehow touches people.
He groups the Bonnie and Clyde guns with other notorious artifacts and prepares a video to advertise the sale.
The name of the auction is Gangsters, Outlaws, and Lawmen.
But there's a problem, one that puts Livingston's big event in jeopardy.
The very first gun that Earl Davis sends us up is the Bonnie Parker 38 Detective Special, and we go to look for the serial number, and this serial number has been scratched off. We can't sell the gun because it's felonious just to have it in our offices.
Oh my gosh.
He faces a quandary. Should he call the Federal Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, fess up, and hope they'll make an exception?
There's a big, big chance if we tell them we have this gun, they could seize it, melt it down, it's gone. There's nothing you can do. One of the biggest challenges we faced to hold this auction was picking up the phone and calling the ATF.
Livingston decides to make the call and set up a meeting at their Boston office to present his case.
We showed them the gun. We had the letter from Frank Hamer saying that he had taken this gun from Bonnie Parker, that it did have a good case to not be destroyed because of its historical significance.
The fate of Earl Davis's strange inheritance hangs in the balance. That's next.
Now back to Strange Inheritance.
Guns, guns, guns.
May 2013. Texas businessman Earl Davis is working with auction company exec Bobby Livingston to sell off part of his strange inheritance.
One of the few that you can directly attribute to Bonnie Parker.
2 guns found on the bodies of Bonnie and Clyde. Almost immediately, the plan hits a snag.
We realized that Bonnie's gun, the serial number, had been scratched off. And that being the case, it doesn't hold too well with the ATF.
Davis and Livingston anxiously await word from federal authorities. Will they allow the sale to go through or seize the gun?
Graciously, they decided that this was a historic artifact that needed to be saved, and they went ahead and reissued a serial number and stamped it on the gun.
5 months later, Earl Davis's Bonnie and Clyde collection, including Bonnie's 38 and Clyde's 45, are the centerpiece of R&R's Gangsters, Outlaws, and Lawmen auction.
My wife and I went to New Hampshire for the live auction. We had some anxiety and some anticipation.
We had media come in from Russia, from Japan, all over Europe. These 2 young people on the roads of America somehow resonates with the world, and it was incredible. Yeah, I was nervous.
What's happening to your heart as you're watching it all unfold, and what was the actual bidding going back and forth?
The place is packed. The people on the telephones are bidding, internet bids are coming on, so the bidding's getting up to 60, 70,000, 80,000, 100,000.
At 140,000, the bidding seems to stall.
Your heart's sinking that the bidding's gonna stop. But all of a sudden, the 2 main bidders, both on the telephone, began to bid again.
150, 200. 2 anonymous phone bidders battle it out.
It finally hammered at $262,000. It was amazing.
A record price for a Bonnie and Clyde gun.
It was a mind blower to watch what we thought wouldn't go for what it did.
There was a lot of cheers, but then we had to sell the next gun. This was Clyde Barrow's 1911 Colt 45.
Again, the top bids come over the phone.
Got up to 100,000, 150,000, 160,000.
Then past 180,000, 200, 220.
And a phone bidder hammered it and sold for $240,000.
It goes to the same anonymous bidder who bought Bonnie's gun. Back in 1986, Earl Davis's mother had paid less than $40,000 for the guns. Now just 2 of the many items in the Davis family's strange inheritance sell for more than $500,000.
To watch these 2 items in a 25-year period increase 1,000%, that was exciting, very exciting.
You know who bought the Bonnie and Clyde guns?
I really don't. The person was anonymous. I know he's a Texas individual, but I do not know.
Bobby Livingston can't reveal the buyer's name, but he does share the surprisingly personal reason the mysterious buyer valued the 2 weapons so highly. Seems that his family had crossed paths with Bonnie's.
He told me after Bonnie Parker passed away, my mother took pity on the Parker family and would naturally just bring them food and help them out through this tough time in their lives. I said, well, why'd you buy the Clyde Barrow? And he told me, well, I felt they should stay together.
The sale of the Bonnie and Clyde guns suggests to Earl that his father's collection is worth every bit of the $4 million he's been told. He plans to gradually sell off most of it, and so Robert Davis's 50-year love affair with Texas memorabilia certainly has paid off. Still, Earl has his regrets.
Even though we may get a good monetary reward for it, it's like a piece of my dad. So, as I see things that aren't there, that were there, hey, maybe a tear comes to my eye. Don't just, good old dad, I wonder what he's thinking. He would have never sold.
Earl describes his father, Robert, as especially proud to own the map that Mexican General Santa Anna used in 1835 at the Battle of Zacatecas. But in the 1960s, business was slow, and Robert was forced to sell it. But every time Robert looked at the bare spot on the wall where the map had hung, he wished he had it back. It took him years and quite a few dollars, but Robert Davis restored that map to its place on his wall. I'm Jamie Colby for Strange Inheritance. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, you can't take it with you.